What's up, everybody? My name is HickMessiah and welcome back to OutOfOre. We are back in the Creative Factory testing world, and today we have a very interesting investigation into how water affects efficiency. To start out, I'm going to cover how I got my data and the design of my tests. Then we'll get into the data and the conclusions for each machine. A huge question that I've seen come up in YouTube videos and the North Modding Discord over time has been, how does water matter in the Sluicebox, wash plant, and froth floater? Hopefully, this information is helpful and shows what the processing efficiency looks like so you can make the best decisions with your plant. So for all my testing, I used this basic setup. I have a simple power, hopper, and conveyor setup to feed the material. For the Sluicebox and the wash plant, I used 10,000 pay dirt that I purchased from the in-game store. The Creative World makes this really easy. I put the dirt into the hopper, and then I hit the consume button. This takes a chunk of 2,000 units of material and sends it down the line. After each chunk of 2,000, I recorded the quantity of each ore output and the dirt, and then ran the next 2,000. For these tests, I ran each variable of no water, unfiltered water, and filtered water. For the froth floater, same principle applied again, but with gravel instead of pay dirt. Each test was done independently, and the water source is also not tied to any other system. That is also run independently and only feeds this one machine. So, now, let's dig into some of the results. Starting with the wash plant, possible outputs are dirt, gold, diamond, silicon, and ruby ores. This slide shows the raw data for each 2,000 unit step of the test run. Looking at the dirt output and the pay dirt output, you can see a good first look at the efficiency with each water input option. Between no water and filtered water, you can see the difference of around 900 units, which translates into more ores. This chart shows each water variable at each step of the test. The next slide takes out the dirt and focuses on just the ores, and you can see that after completing each test, there is a big difference between no water and both filtered and unfiltered water edging out a little bit more than the unfiltered. This slide is just another version of the last slide so that you can see the trend lines. Now, the most clear way to show the difference is this chart here. This efficiency percentage is how much ore is produced in relation to the input quantity at each 2,000 unit test stage, then averaged together into one value. So, effectively over 10,000 units with no water, you get just over 8.5% being ores. For unfiltered water, you end up with almost 17%, and filtered water being obviously the best design, giving over 18% of the material as ores. Now, taking a look at the Sluicebox, it has the same outputs as the wash plant, but instead of passing the ores through and onto the conveyor, it collects them in the machine storage and passes just the dirt through. Here's where I noticed something interesting. I was not expecting to see the difference between filtered and unfiltered water to be basically nothing. My assumption was that the output between the sluice and the wash plant was going to be almost indistinguishable. Getting to the efficiency percentages, you see that there is only a 0.1% difference in the ore output between filtered and unfiltered water. But again, any water is better than no water. Lastly, the froth floater. One thing to note, in the diagram that you can see in the in-game store, you see the output showing as aluminum, copper, iron, silver, lithium, and gold. The froth floater will not produce gold ore. It is not possible to get gold from gravel. What this is showing is that if you are feeding gold ore into the machine by having a wash plant in line before the froth floater, the gold ore will come out of this output connection, but any gravel will not produce it on its own. But back to the data, you can see the raw numbers here, and then we move on to the graph with the tailings included. The next slide is where we have the tailings taken out of the graph to focus on the ores. This makes it easy to see that you don't really have too much of a difference between no water and unfiltered water. But When you use filtered water, that's where you get big value. Here is each water type broken out into its own graph. And lastly, the efficiency graph shows that you are getting almost twice as much ore out of gravel when you use filtered water. So my advice is to invest in filtered water for the froth floater no matter what. There you go, everyone. In general, I think we can all say that you should always be using filtered water for all of these machines. The increased efficiency in all situations is well worth the time and money invested. That's it for this one, guys. Thank y'all for hanging out, and if you had fun, give it a like and hit that sub button. Until next time, stay weird and don't stop chasing happiness.